What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Welcome back to Love and Rice Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new, make sure you guys follow us on all podcast platforms, all right? We are growing. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Instagram, and TikTok. So you guys make sure you follow us on those each platform, comment on them, like, engage with us, let us know what topics you want us to talk about, and we will do that, okay? On this episode, episode 70.
Episode 70.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sir.
Yes.
Good job.
Good job. Yay. Thank you guys for tuning in for, if you've been here for all 70, thank you.
Wow.
You know, if you're new, thank you as well. We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you guys here. So on this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about the difference between raising a boy and a girl.
Mhm.
Because trust me, it's very, very different.
Yes.
Right. So what has been the best thing about having a daughter and the best thing about having a son?
Okay. So the best thing I would say about having a daughter is that I kind of get like a mini BFF. Like we have this like very special bond, and although it can be tough sometimes because we bump heads a lot, because we're so similar in a way, but like there's that unconditional love and that relationship, and it's kind of like no matter what we go through, or if we're like arguing, or if we're in a bad mood, like we can at the end of the day come to each other and kind of just like hug each other, or like give each other a kiss, or like be affectionate and like know that we're cool.
Yeah, you make her sound like a bad kid.
I mean, she's not a bad kid, but she's very outspoken. She has a very strong personality. And as she's getting older, she's very vocal about everything, right? So then for me, being a girl myself, I have to understand and be more careful with what I say to her and how I respond, because she observes and takes it all in. You know what I mean?
The hardest thing with a daughter is the age she's at. Like, I want to hold her hand through every step of life, right? I want to teach her everything. So it's like, if something's happening, I want to be like, wait, stop. This is why this is happening. This is what we should do. And, you know, all that stuff, right? So she can understand it all. But she's not at that age where we can even do that. It's because if we try to stop her in her, in her tracks, right? She'll take it as like, what am I doing wrong? Or, you know, things like that. And it's like, oh no, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to like make you be aware of what's going on so you can get this awareness as you keep growing and stuff. But it's so difficult with a daughter because I don't know what it is, you know? Like when we have our son, man, anything I say or do to this guy, he's like, okay. And he's so happy and joyful. And
for the most part, though, sometimes he won't listen, or he gets so absorbed in whatever he's doing, and like I'll be like, Enzo, do this, Enzo, like literally like Enzo, and he doesn't hear me, and I'm like, and you know what it is? I think it's because we're easier on him.
Yeah, I mean, he's our baby. You know, it's funny. We're supposed to talk about
the best parts,
right? And we're talking about like the difficulties already about having a boy versus a girl.
Well, I think it's just because of the age that they're in. So it's like every year it's like a different transition. So you're kind of like rolling with it.
It's so hard. They're always learning, and we're always learning how to teach. And it's always such a challenge, you know.
Yeah, and you're always having to adapt.
But what I love the most about my daughter is that the moments that we do have this connected bond at that very moment, you immediately feel the daddy-daughter connection.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, this is so sweet, you know? But you have to really tap into that connection to get it, or else it's just like, she's going to be a kid, I'm going to be a dad, you know, and it's hard, man. It's so hard.
Yeah. I feel like with the dynamic too, because it's like trying to understand the different genders and trying to figure out like how you're supposed to communicate with them or respond to things, and Like I don't completely know how boys think and how they see things and how they feel things, right? So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with it and try to be as equal as possible with the way that I treat them.
Hmm.
But also, it's like you have to tailor to their personalities, also.
Yeah. I get what you meant when you said that she's like your little BFF because she's like a little girl and she's like you,
Yeah, yep.
and Enzo is like my little best friend, right?
Yeah.
And
There are
it's
minis.
I like bringing him along with me to do things, and just it's really cool. There's definitely a difference when it's the same gender, you
Yeah.
know.
Because you have that
Um,
bond of like having that person look up to you
yeah,
and share the same interests and hobbies as you. And then it's kind of like they're like, that's my dad or that's my mom. Like, I want to grow up to be like you and play basketball with you and do
right.
all these things, you know?
It's funny because before we had kids, and when I thought of having a daughter, I thought the feeling I had with Enzo, I would have with her. I thought
Mm.
she would be my little BFF type of thing, but it's different. It's so different.
I'm trying to think back. I love these episodes because then we always get to think back and reminisce on like how times used to
Yeah.
be. I feel like you guys had a bond earlier on, because I was working. When I went back to work, you were with her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like she would always be around you and she would look for you. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she just had like really good times with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as she's getting older, I feel like you and her are the most similar.
Yeah, we are.
Your personalities are like so in sync, and I think that's why you bump heads more. Or it's like
No, we don't
not
bump
not
heads.
bump heads, but like
I never bump heads with her.
yeah.
It's just I'm just trying to teach her to be a coachable person.
Yeah, and I think at her age and because of how similar she is to you, it's like it's always harder to be receptive of someone trying to like give you advice or tell you something.
Yeah, it's like this. Let me give you guys an example. Both our kids do jujitsu, and there's times when I want to teach Leia some moves that I think that she can do better, or there's some new moves that I want her to learn so she can really kill it, you know, and she wouldn't want to listen to me on it, right? But she'll listen to her coaches.
But that's
Now,
the difference.
now
Yeah.
if I teach Enzo right away, he'd be like, okay, this is what I do. All right, I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna try. You know what I mean? But with her, it's like if I try to coach her, she goes, hmm. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh man, so closed off. So
Yeah.
it's so different with her and with him. Um, I don't know what it is.
I feel
That's
like
something I'm learning right now.
so like it's the parent child dynamic because the
It
kids
is.
they kind of like try to get away with as much as possible with us because we're their parents and we're with them all the time, so it's kind of like we can easily trigger them, right? But when it
Right.
comes to the coaches, it's like a mutual person. It's not someone they see all the time, and they can be more receptive to it because it's like it's nothing personal when it comes to the coach.
So how do we get them to separate dad to coach as the same person? If I wanted to be her coach.
I think that the communication would probably have to be different, figuring out the tone with her because she's very sensitive to tone. And I know with dads, it's like you try to be more tough on your kids, right? But for her, she needs the nurturing side of it too.
It's funny. Okay,
Yeah.
so when I always thought about having a daughter, I thought about how I would baby her all the time,
And you
and
did in the beginning.
and right. And then as she's getting older and more independent, I'm trying to like be so strong with her and make her a
Mm-hmm.
strong person that I'm more firm with her. And I guess when I teach her more, it's more stern, and I ultimately just want her to be stronger, right? And that's me being harder on her,
Right.
which I don't really like to do, but I feel like she needs that, because once she's out of our nest, I hope she learns from all of it.
Yeah.
So it's weird from going from like daddy's little girl to like now I'm really trying to teach the strong growing lady.
And I think that's great. Like, I feel like that's one thing I appreciate that you do, because I feel like it's very important to teach her to be a strong person growing
Hmm.
up, right? And to raise her to be a strong woman.
But I want to just treat her like a baby,
I mean,
like a
but
princess.
you can when she deserves it, right? But at the same time, there are moments where you have to be more stern with her.
Hmm.
And then I think because your tone is a little scary because of your voice. I don't know if you guys hear this, but I hear it all the time. And then when that pitch goes up a little bit, I'm like, oh God, like I feel a twitch in my ear because like your voice is just so deep
Yeah.
and it sounds scary. And when it gets louder, I think it triggers them and they're like, oh shit. Because when I yell at them, they get a little scared. But when it comes from dad and his deep voice, like they're just like, okay, I'll do it. And Enzo wants to cry and stuff, you know? So
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you don't listen, right? It just gets deeper
yeah.
and deeper and deeper.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's just different. It depends on the kids. But going back to your first question, like I never got to answer it.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part about having a boy or a son is that they kind of I forgot what it was, but they said something about like
Who's they?
just like there's I don't know, like
I'm like,
psychologists.
wait, what?
I don't know. TikTok said it, okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
okay.
then, because usually, there will be videos and they have like a lot of psychological like facts, right? And it's like always to moms, and that's what's on my algorithm, because
Okay.
and then it pops up and it'll be like, did you know that when moms have sons, it's kind of like they get to experience true love again. Because you have this like kind of unconditional love, and the way that he is with me is like he's so sweet,
Hmm.
so nurturing, so caring, and like he always tells me that like he loves me more than anyone else in the world, you know. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, like that relationship and that bond is very unique and different.
Yeah, he is almost like a mama's boy. But he's not, because he always goes, "Where's dad? Where's dad?"
Yeah, and I try so hard to not make him a mama's boy too, and that's
Hmm.
like another thing.
You got to bring out your tomboyness when you're with him. You
Ye-
see,
well, that's what you're there for.
yes, I understand that, but I'm also telling you that you also need to do that. So that's the difference between the challenges of raising a boy versus a girl, because we teach them differently.
Right.
The things. I don't know if we really talk to them differently. I feel like I talk to them the same, but there's things where I'm like, uh, if Enzo loves basketball, we're gonna go play some sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go play with some Transformers. We're gonna play with cars, and then Leia, she loves, let's go color together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go run around together. Let's She loves video games,
Yeah.
like let's
Yep.
go play some video games together. So I don't know. I actually, now that I think about it, it's not a guy and girl thing. It's more of just what they like.
Yeah. I think we encourage everything. So I feel like in our household, we try to be neutral and we try to be fair about a lot of things. And I feel like the only times that we would really not be fair about things is when we're harder on Leia, because first of all, she's the oldest and she should know better at her age, right? But at the same time, we do baby Enzo because he is like the baby of the
Because he still
family.
has the baby mind, right?
Right.
Leia has a grown up mind. So I expect her to act like her age,
Yeah. So I'm gonna say like I don't have preference of like having a son versus a daughter, but I feel like age comes into play a lot, right? So
Yeah,
it's
for
like the
sure.
differences with how we raise them is because of their age
It's
difference.
like even 6 months apart from, if someone who just turned 5 to someone who's 5.5, is so different, because someone who just turned 5 just is learning to come out of baby phase,
Right.
toddler phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And becoming a kid, to where a 5.5-year-old is, okay, now this guy is a kid and stuff like that. So it's like, it's
Hmm.
man, it's so hard figuring these things out. And the more you're around other kids, you'll notice how other kids are developed and how mature they get. And you're like, oh, okay, you can tell that their minds are different, because
Right.
of their age gaps. Yeah. One of the things that's funny is I always thought that Leia would be the more emotional one because she's the girl,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's the female tendencies and things like and the male, but I feel like Enzo is more emotional than Leia, or they have different kind of emotional
Yes.
characteristics.
Yeah, Leia is very strong-willed and
I
strong-minded.
mean, she's very emotional. Now that I think about it, she's really emotional. She cries a lot about stuff.
She doesn't cry, but she whines. Like you have to really push her to
She
get her to
no,
cry.
she looks like she's gonna
I
cry
know,
every time.
but
She's
it's the
like,
whining
she'd be.
face.
You could like a lot of times her emotions come out
Mm-hmm.
with every response,
Yeah.
right? But then Enzo is more emotional in terms of sentimental or attachment type of thing
Hmm.
on a deeper level.
I feel like they're both kind of like that, but Leia's more of a tough kid. So it's like if she wants to give you a hug, she'll put her arm around you and like put you in a chokehold or something. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's the I don't know, it's I don't know. I feel like it has a lot to do with how we raised them growing up because I feel like because Leia was our firstborn and we got to experience her as an only child for a while, that we were more tough and more strict with her. So maybe that made her more of like a tough person. And then with Enzo, we're like, we kind of babied him for a lot of things, right? So I don't know. A lot of the things that we talk about, we're always like, "Oh, Leia, but he's your little brother. You gotta treat him nicer and be
Hmm.
more careful around him." So maybe he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And he's like, like cries about stuff,
Yeah.
right? So maybe he's utilizing that.
The brother and sister dynamic is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's times when all she does is think about him and wants to do everything with him. When she's at school and has projects at school, she does an extra project for him, and then the next day she'd be like, "Hey, he's okay, brother. I don't really care," things like that. And you're like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what? Why are you
Yeah, I
saying
don't know.
that?"
It's the sibling dynamic because it's like you love each other, but you also hate each other, and like you get on each other's nerves so easily.
I've
You,
seen I've seen them get in a fight and Enzo cry, and then 10 seconds later, Leia laugh, and then he's laughing and crying.
oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. Because I think sometimes she doesn't mean to make him cry like that, and then when he does, she's like, oh my bad, and she tries to joke about it,
Yeah.
and then he's like, oh okay, because sometimes he doesn't need to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Do you think that girls and boys get treated differently at school?
I'm gonna say yes.
In
And
what way?
so I feel like with girls, like we mature a lot earlier in our lives, right? So it's like
Mature in what way?
in terms of just like our mentality, like we understand things a lot earlier than boys. So it's like with language or communication, our language skills are developed a lot quicker. But
Mhm.
whereas for like boys, the communication is not there, but it's more so of like their fine motor skills. So it's like for girls, we're able to listen into things and communicate feelings and other things. But then with boys, you guys are more like visual learners, right? So
Mhm.
I've kind of I've observed from being in the classroom of like girls are more quiet because we're like observing and trying to understand what like the teacher's saying. But with boys, like you guys get so bored in class, like trying to listen
Mhm.
to the teacher because it's not enough action for you guys,
Mhm.
right? So I felt like boys were treated differently because you guys have all this energy, and I realized that, and you guys are always moving and doing all these things, so that makes you guys seem like you're more rambunctious. So I feel like girls were always like the good students, and then boys were kind of the troublemakers or class clowns because you couldn't stay still in class.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But how were they treated differently though?
I felt like boys got in trouble a lot more. Like if
Oh, I
girls
see.
said things, it was more in like a softer tone, and it wasn't so like playful, I guess. But with boys, if they make a joke about something, like the teacher would kind of reprimand them for it.
So I guess how do you think that affects their development as they
Um,
turn into young adults?
I feel like it can in a way because I don't know. I feel like with teachers, I feel like nowadays they kind of are more. understanding of the way that girls and boys develop nowadays. So then when they try to teach things, they're more involved,
Mhm.
and they include more activities and stuff.
I'll say being more involved definitely helps, right? When
Yeah.
you're talking about boys who get scolded at school a lot,
Mm-hmm.
um, now when you talk about a boy who just the teacher always yells at him and says he's a troublemaker,
Yeah.
goes home and the parents will say the same thing, and then now this guy is a young adult and then gets in trouble with cops. Cops say the same thing to him. Now
Mm-hmm.
this guy is just gonna have problems with authority for the rest of his life, to where it's like, um, can't maybe now doesn't like working for people and having bosses, doesn't just doesn't like anybody telling him shit, right?
Right, because growing up
So
at a young age, it's like you're
right,
always being told that what you're doing is not right.
right.
Right,
So
I
from
see.
7 to 18 you get that authority and you're just like, oh my god, like you too, right?
Mm.
And it's like, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, because for me, like growing up, all of my years in school, like I was always considered a good student.
Hmm.
Like even when I would have my bad days or mischievous days, I would be more like careful and quiet about it, right? But then with the guys, they would always like have to be the class clown, throw jokes
Not
around, and say
always.
things.
I was a very good student. I
Yeah.
just got bad grades.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, I guess it depends,
Like
but
I was just stupid.
oh,
You know what I mean? I couldn't comprehend. But I
I wouldn't say
was
you were stupid. Probably
no,
just
I was
not
I
book
was
smart.
well,
Maybe
yeah, if I'm at school and everything's about books, I'm stupid. You know what I mean?
that doesn't
But
make you
like
stupid.
I'm when I don't even remember what I was trying to say because now we're arguing about me not being
Yeah,
stupid.
because then like there are a lot of people who aren't good at school, and I've learned that like you might not be book smart, but you're street
Yeah, I know,
smart.
but we're right now we're talking about school.
I know, but I'm just trying to say, just trying to make you feel better and other
Oh no,
people.
I was just trying to stick to talking about school and now I forgot
Oh.
what I was gonna talk about because you bring me outside of school.
I don't remember. We were talking about you being a good student. So I think for me, being in school, like I was pretty much a good student. So I feel like teachers were always really nice to me. And I feel like because I always like volunteer to do extra stuff, or I would like be like a teacher's aide, and just like I don't know, I was just like really involved in school. So I feel like I was always treated pretty well
I mean,
from authorities.
man, so I feel like that's just how it is for girls. Like you guys are just treated differently from the beginning. Yeah, up until even
Maybe.
this age, you're still treated differently.
Yeah, because I feel like teachers were really nice to me, but I was also really nice to them too. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I was the student who would always say hi to like all of the teachers and
I
stuff.
did too.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But maybe a lot of other guys didn't, so.
One thing that I did notice during school was like a lot of the my friends who are girls, they would come to school and they'll be wearing like joggers and sweaters and stuff, and then they'll pull out extra clothes out of their backpack and they're gonna
Oh,
go to the bathroom and then they're gonna change into tank tops and shorts and stuff, and I'm like,
interesting.
oh, like your parents don't let you wear this stuff, and they're like, no, and so like I'm afraid also of like when the kids are growing up and they're trying to learn their style and
Yeah.
like how that's gonna be for them. It's so different.
Right. Well, I mean, that's when dress code comes into play, because I remember that was a big thing. That was a big thing for girls,
Hmm.
because there were a lot of rules when it came to girls. Like your skirt had to be like, I don't know, like to your knees or something. It had to be pretty long. You couldn't show like your belly, like any midriff and stuff. Tank tops, if you wore it, it had to be like 2 inches, and teachers would come and like measure with the rulers to make sure that it was 2 inches,
That's
because
crazy.
they don't want you to show too much skin. And I totally understand it, and I respect it, because it's teaching young girls that at an early age to be more respectful of your body, not to show so much, don't
Did
grow up
you
so fast.
did you understand it at that age?
No, of course
Yeah,
not.
see, that's the problem
Of
that we're
course
talking
not.
about.
Yeah.
So like where does my friend even get the money to buy hoochie clothes like that, right? So like it is now the things you're teaching at home not good, right? So like it's not like you're giving your kid money. What if
Right.
it's like that Western philosophy of well, if they do chores around the house, they get an allowance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what are they using their allowance for? Are they buying these hoochie clothes to wear at school because they see all the other girls wearing stuff like that? Like that's hard because at
Yeah.
home you think you're teaching it the right way, and then when they're away from you, it's like the total opposite.
Well, I would like to think because back then, I used to do the same thing. Like I would have more layers to cover what I really wanted to wear and stuff. And yeah, like it was more revealing than it should have been at my age.
Hmm.
But that's like what all the girls were doing at school, right? But I think when it comes to our kids, I feel like our way of parenting is a lot different where I'm hoping that they'll be more open with us. So it's like if they want to wear certain things, like they'll wear it in front of us and allow us to give them like our feedback and to be like, hey, you can't wear that, or if you're gonna wear that, like you gotta wear something over it and try to teach them that. You know
See,
what I
that's
mean?
that's also why I wanna the clothes I wanna buy our kids right now, and I've always wanted to, were more fashionable clothes that were more artsy and had its own style to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rather than like going to Target and they have the same type of graphic tees and pants to where that just translates to like plain tank tops and shorts and because they never developed a style to add to their character,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because one thing that girls can take advantage of is that a lot of your materials and apparel are cut and sew. And
Yeah.
cut and sew are very customizable for girls, right? Like you have these long dresses, and these dresses have like this little belt thing that you can tie, and then there's all these different. It's just really cool stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
your shirts aren't regular shirts where they just cut off at the arm. They're like they got different angles and fluffs and whatever. Like those are all so cool.
Right.
Like you can find every unique thing to a piece of clothing. So where that's kind of what I want Leia to have. I want her to find things that she loves to wear because they're so unique and special, like
Mm-hmm.
all the cut and sews, rather than like friggin' half crop top shirt and things like that.
Yeah,
That's not
no,
special,
no.
right?
Right.
It's just
Yep.
a t-shirt.
Yep.
So like, yeah, and then it's so different with boys. When I was growing up, it's like we try to be cool, really cool, right? And like we're wearing the
Baggy
baggiest pants,
clothes.
right? And it's
Yeah.
crazy. And it just didn't make sense, but that was just a style back then. That's why I feel like if we introduce them more into art and developing these characters, it will add to them. And
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it really I think that's why where you live, school district and all of that matters too, right? Because it's kind of like, the type of people that they're going to be around. Like for me, I grew up in Almani, and like the way that everyone dressed and everything was like not not as appropriate, I guess I would say, for our
right.
age, right? So it's kind of like you do tend to follow what your friends do pretty much, or what you see.
It's pretty
So
much what we see in what dominated the school, and during our times it was like ABB and Asian gangster stuff. So we were dressing like them too and being like them because those were our friends,
yeah.
right?
And then also you
So
had like the Hispanics who were like dressing in their own way too. So it's like they kind of had the ABG flair, but like in their own way. So
yeah,
it's
it's
kind
called
of like,
chola.
yeah, I know.
So,
Chola.
yeah, so like we all had that stuff growing up, and it's like and then there's other kids who are not involved that way, and they were really
Right.
cool in their own unique
Mm-hmm.
way. And I want to be able to teach our kids that, and also like not in separate ways where it's like, Leia, I want you to dress like this, and so I want you to dress like that. Like I want to teach them both the same thing,
Yeah.
you know.
I think when we take them shopping for clothes now, it's like I let them choose and pick what they like, and then we also choose and pick what we like, and then we kind of come to a middle ground. But I think ultimately, like you can't really have full control of like the influences around them. But as parents, like we have a huge say in what they can and cannot
we
wear.
well, we're the biggest influence in them.
Right.
So when we tell them to go pick out some clothes, at that time we can teach Leia, like, look, what you picked is really cool, and what I have here, look how special this is.
Mm-hmm.
This is really, really cool. You can't find this somewhere else. You know what I mean? And I think this is really awesome, especially if these are the same price, you know?
Yeah.
And so teaching her that something, that there's value in it, you know, and then that makes you feel good, and comfortable. I think that's one way of teaching them,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think also leading by example too. So it's like every time Leia goes into my closet, she's like, "Mom, can you save this for me?" She goes through all of my clothes that's hanging in there. She's like, "Can you save this for me? And that, and this dress, and this jacket, and all these things, right?" Like when she sees this, she's like, "Mom, please, can I have this when I'm older?"
Cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
such an awesome jacket. You know
Yeah.
what I
And
mean?
you
That's
gave
so,
this to me.
yeah,
And
it's unique because you don't wear stuff like this. And when
yeah.
I saw it, I was like, oh man, I love this style. And I got it for you. And I don't think you liked it in the very beginning,
Yeah, because
you
I didn't
know?
like anything that felt furry and stuff, and it wasn't my style. And I don't know, is it like cheetah print too? But like,
It doesn't
it's
look
so cold and it's warm.
it doesn't look tacky, you know?
Yeah.
And at the time I was really into, you know, the culture of Jordan brand stuff, and
Yep.
that's a Jordan thing, and like,
And I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
what I like about it because it doesn't make me look like too bougie. But I do notice too that when I wear this compared to like when I'm wearing hoodies and I'm walking around, like the attention that I get is different.
Like bad attention or like,
Like no, like good attention, and it's like from different people. So
is
it's like
that the attention you want? Or is that like
I mean,
a,
it's nice because it's not like in a disrespectful way, but it's more of like, oh, people actually see it, and maybe it just
right?
looks more
It's,
upscale.
I mean, it's definitely different from like getting a Gucci print that looks like this, and then people are looking at you wearing Gucci stuff. Like, to me, that's too much. That's
Yeah,
weird, right?
yeah,
This is more like, this is within our budget, right? And like,
I like it. Like it's so comfy.
yeah, so like these are the kind of special things that I want her to have that
Mm-hmm.
make her feel good, not for her to bring attention, but for her to be like, man, I love this jacket. I love the way it feels. I love the gold zipper. I love the Jordan logo on it. You know, like everything about it is something that they love.
Yeah, I guess my point with that too is like, if I were to compare the attention I get from like wearing my gym clothes, like leggings and a
Hmm.
t-shirt, is different and different people. But then wearing this is like it's attention in a way where it feels more respectful, and I
Hmm.
feel like
Because
more
it's
proper, and
because it's tasteful,
yeah,
and so now people appreciate seeing that visual,
yeah,
and so you know that's a great attention to have.
yeah.
So
And I
like,
want Leia to feel that. I don't want her
right.
to want to draw the wrong attention.
Like even for me, this sweater, it looks like a simple Nike sweater, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I actually love this so much because it's very, very thick.
Yeah.
And because Vegas is windy, the wind does not blow through this.
Oh.
And so I wear this on very windy days and I appreciate it so much. And I
Yeah.
love this so much because of the thickness of it. And the color is not a usual color that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, these are the things that I want to teach Enzo, right? It's not about having like a cool black hoodie and things like that. It's like, man, this sweater makes me feel great,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
embracing their features and personality and trying to get them to like uh did I say embrace? To embrace
Hmm.
it and be different and not try to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to teach to these kids.
What did you say? Oh, we got a lot to teach
What do you
to
think I
these kids.
said?
I don't know. It sounded kind of slurred to me. I was like, we got a lot to teach. Got it.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
I know, because I was just thinking about all the things that we have to like teach them and the differences. But I feel like in the end, we always try to be neutral and be fair and be stern when we can, but also spoil them when we can.
At the end of the day, do we raise our boy and grow differently? I'll say no. I
Yeah.
don't, but I don't raise them differently. I raise them the same, but when I say goodnight to them, I might have a different
Approach.
approach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So to me, I would say raise them with the same morals, same fairness, same sternness. But you have to tailor also to their personality and what works better for them.
I think the biggest thing is they're tailoring to their age.
That
So
too.
like the last 5 years, we've been really tailoring to Enzo's age,
Mm-hmm.
especially at bedtime,
Mm-hmm.
where like, we lay with him and he falls asleep and stuff. And now I'm like, okay, this dude's 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He's becoming a boy.
Yep.
So now I'm like, Enzo, you go sleep in your room by yourself
Mm-hmm.
because I want him to learn that. But Leia, she's 7, right? She's becoming a girl and I want to spend more time with her and lay with her before she falls asleep
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like at her age at 7, this is something she's always going to remember now. She has these memories of, oh, I always got to lay with my dad. I got to lay with my mom. They loved me so much.
Yeah.
So now switching over from baby time with Enzo to loving daughter time with Leia.
Yeah, because
And
that's the best time to be able to bond with them. Like they try to catch you up about their day, even though you're like, go to sleep, go to sleep.
right.
But like I feel like they truly appreciate that time that we give to them. So for me, I try to be fair with it too, where I'm like, okay, 5 minutes with him, 5 minutes with you, and that's it.
But they
Okay.
both do the same thing now where like if I'm laying next to Enzo, he's gonna grab my arm and be like this
Mm-hmm.
and try to
Mm-hmm.
fall asleep with my arm. And then
Yeah.
Leia now grabs both her arms and holds on to one arm as well. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh man.
And then you don't want to leave.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
So but I am now leaving Enzo alone more and spending more time with Leia. So it's kind of like it just depends on their age of where I want to put more effort into certain times because I feel like it's key moments for their development to spend a little more here and there.
Yeah. Oh, one thing that I do want to say is that when it comes to genders, like I think me trying to be fair with both of them um is because of my childhood. Because I
Mm,
feel like the roles were so traditional back then, where it's like as a girl, I had to do all these chores, I had to do all these things because that was my role in life, right?
mhm,
To take care of the family and chores and everything. Whereas, like I grew up resenting my parents for that. So now
mhm.
it's like if they have to do chores and other things, like they're both gonna do it. Leia might have more because she's older, but they both will have to do it rather than like, well, this is your role. This is what you do. Or like if they cry, you can't be like, suck it up, Enzo. Stop being a baby. Like big boys don't cry, right? It's like
Mhm,
you got if you're gonna say that, you better say that to Leia too. Like big girls
mhm.
don't cry. Like you
I do say
can't do
to both of them.
yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
tell both of them, nope, you're not gonna
Yep.
cry. You don't get to
Yeah.
cry right
You
now.
can't do that. You can't be like, well, come on, be a big boy, whatever, and then not
Yeah,
say it to her. So
right.
yeah, to you parents, like be fair with the way you treat them to a certain extent. Yeah, because that stuff like it got to me growing up.
Yeah, I would say every family does have that where the kid is always like, you treated him better than me.
Yeah.
Did I? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Did
I
I
felt
don't
like I
know.
was the maid of the whole house.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's always going to be something like that.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Good luck, parents. Good
It's not
luck.
an easy job,
They're going to
but
say
you guys are
something to
doing
us
amazing. Okay.
eventually.
Yeah, don't be so hard on
So,
yourself as long as you're trying.
yeah. All right. I hope you
All
guys
right.
enjoyed this episode. This was, man, these family ones are tough, and we love talking a lot about the family ones. So, can you guys comment? Let us know what you like to hear more about.